brought hell to hell. And if it wasn't for them, I'm not saying this, critics of the history say there's very good opportunity and doggone very good chance that America would have lost that war if it wasn't for this infantry regime, all black infantry. So you had a whole infantry regime of infantry fighters. The 369 infantry unit regime were a group, a unit, a infantry regime of all Captain Americas. That's all I see, because they were doing things that were remarkable. Jumping out of trees, the way that how they would maneuver in the dark, how they were able to handle themselves when they were alone and outnumbered. They were like fighting like one, like if we can compare analysis, do a comparative analysis, like they were, their strength was like 1 to 10. That's how bad ASS these guys were, right? And the stories that they tell about these guys. So going back to the question, can you recite the second part of the question, because I want to address that. I believe the first part was about Captain America, right? And do I have a problem with black? I don't have a problem. I just want to say I don't have a problem with Captain America being black. At the same time, and keeping the logic of what I said, I believe far as the source material, not the source material, but the original concept of Captain America as it's introduced in the comics, I believe that he should still be a white person based upon that, because that's what my logic is saying. At the same time, my ethos, my morale is saying, yeah, he should be black. Does that make sense? Okay, what's the second part of your question again?
Is it more important to create new original black superheroes?
I think it's way more important to create black superheroes. And in fact, that question is actually a really huge talking point that's really taken over and has taken over the black nerd space and just the nerd space in general, from what I have observed. Right? I'm not the biggest comic fan. I'm not going to say that I am. And I'm not the most learned comic fan. I'm not the most studied or astute black nerd, or blurred, as we say in the States. I'm not. So I'm not going to pretend that I am. But I believe in the fanfare. I'm not a fanboy, but I have the fanfare of it. I love the concepts of it. So I do think that there should be new black characters. And there are new black writers, black painters, black people who draw and animate. There's a whole like wave of people who happen to be black, who are really dope at creating mangas, comic books, and there's some who actually own their own mangas and own their own comic book series. But because I believe, because of systematic racism, i.e. whiteness, and I went over the definition of whiteness in my other parts, but basically just to reiterate what it is, from CWP has adopted this working definition of whiteness. It's coming from scholars and intellectuals, doctors, and also students and administrative people came together over a summer back in 2007, I believe, and they put their minds together to create what whiteness was based upon their experience, based upon their academics, and what they pretty much said that whiteness is an ideology. I'm now paraphrasing. It's an ideology that has been used to systematically and that has been imputed into culture and every fabric of society. So that whiteness as such has leverage between races, between race relations, between the sexual prowess, between the orientation of sex, in the economy, and healthcare, and every aspect in institution, whiteness has been imputed, injected into it as a net zero, if you will. So because of that, going back to what I'm saying about black comics and black mangas, the representation and the readiness to market black mangas and black comics is not there as it should be. I'm not saying it's not there, but it's underrepresented from the majority of people, of nerds, because there's different type of nerds, right? But black nerds, it's because of them I know so many comics and mangas, artists, writers, authors who have created their own companies and businesses, mangas and comic books, right? And their own stories. So I'm saying that to say people should create new characters. And I don't care if they resemble another character that happens to be white. I don't care about that, because all source documents come back to African spirituality. Also, so it's going to look that way. So you're going to have certain characters that are going to, and white characters do the same thing. They're like Superman. You can find a Superman in Marvel, right? What's his name? What's that guy's name? You don't know? Okay, so Superman has a counterpart. Let me look it up real quick, because I don't know offhand. And you looking at me like, I don't know. So Superman has, okay, Superman has an equivalent. The Sentry, Gladiator, and Hyperion. That's just the names, a few, right? Then let's look at Batman. Batman has a Marvel equivalent, right? Moon Knight, Nighthawk, and Black Panther are Batman equivalents, right? Let's look at, let's do one more. Name a character if you want. Wonder Woman. Let's look at Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's Marvel equivalent would be Power Princess, Carol Danvers, or Captain Marvel, and Storm. Right? So you're gonna have equivalents. You're gonna have certain characters that are gonna resemble other characters. That's just how it works, because it all has coming from. So basically, when black people create characters, I'm already saying, and because anybody who's intellectual or uses their mind power to think about these type of things, especially when it comes to race relations, because whiteness is in that, right? According to that working definition that CWP has adopted, that there are already going to be naysayers. They're going to say, well, this character reminds us of this character, and that character reminds us of this character. But that's going to happen, right? And that's okay if it does. So what? Is the character dope? Is the storyline dope? Is it good material? But I think a lot of people just speak from their biases, you know? And their biases, and when I'm talking about other people, I'm talking about white people. I think they speak, majority of them, in my opinion, speak from the whiteness that has been imputed into culture and the fabric of society, according to the working definition of CWP, what whiteness is, right? And then whiteness in film and television coming from Mr. Kirkland, Erwin Kirkland, saying that it's the net zero, which all other races are pretty much compared to. So the corporate look for Hollywood, Bollywood, and Bigfoot is whiteness. or white phenotypes. And because of the biases that white people have, anytime you have something other that doesn't have the phenotype of white, regardless of the character could be from any other country. It doesn't matter. The character can be European, the character could be Asian, the character could be from Australia, the character could be from South America. But if it doesn't have that white, light bright, almost white phenotype, white folks are going to go crazy and nuts and say this is trash, or I can't believe this is woke. They're pushing woke. That's what they do. So, and that's the game that they play. And also, if you look on Substack, I have an article that I've written about representation and why it matters. So please go check that out. My Substack is Caden.black. So go check that out on Substack, please. All right, let's move forward.
From all you've said, I agree to you that yes, the current white Captain America is dope. I think we should only exercise for now a respect to the original story, but we should do more or think further, out of the box, that we should also consider making black characters in order for us to have a fresh touch or fresh characters in the storyline or in our film industry. So for the next question, we've talked about the mainstream film making, right?
Yeah.
At first. So now let's go to the trending nowadays, which is the online streaming platforms like Netflix. So personally, I have watched one or two full cast black